that acceptance, I think, is the thing that's grown exponentially from this community.
You know, I want to sort of speak to that also. I actually am coming from California, San Francisco, and I went here from 73 to 77. And actually what brought me to Franconia was the ad in the back of the New York Times Week in Review. There was a picture of the maple leaf. And I remember Franconia, this area, driving through as a child, and I remember the golden birch bark trees that my father stopped on the side of the road and gave us, you know, some birch bark. And I was so clued into Indians at that time. That, I mean, they made canoes, there was the paper, and it was golden, so it was magic. I was like following that gold. And so it was a school that really fit what I wanted in the school. And when I got up here, and I met Phil Holmes because I was interested in ceramics, well, you know, that's as far as I had to go. If the school offered me nothing else, there was an amazing ceramic teacher and department. And so I was able to be in the studio as it started to grow. And also I was at this point when you described it, the golden years. So I came at the golden years, and then I was here at the dissolution of the school, which was so interesting because what's so unique about Franconia is that we get to know each other very intimately. And the barrier between student and teacher sometimes gets very fuzzy, and student, teacher, and administration gets very fuzzy. But yet, it was a very emotional time and a hard time to watch people that you really loved and respected push to all kinds of means because their livelihood was in stake, what they believed passionately about in terms of teaching, being there for students, for the world, was really being challenged, beaten down, and trying to find ways of being able to cope. So, I mean, you know, coming through this and and I also have to say that I had a painting background too, and so I am a painter, and that was, Peter Brackett, who's my teacher, was brought a whole other interesting element and mixed into this circle. But being in this world, I work, coincidentally enough, for the city and county of San Francisco teaching ceramics. Now, city and county is a pretty big place. The whole state of California, the world, is really being pushed because of the economy. And it's getting kind of ugly. And I'm seeing kind of reflections and reviews of what I witnessed on a very intimate scale, going on a grander scale. And to say that is that looking around this room, we don't have a building, but we still exist. So I kind of come into this world experience that we will exist, and it's about survivorship, which means, and we're all survivors to be here. So it's just been so incredible. I think some of the more people that I've met this weekend have been people from the 60s, which you know, and that's been just so amazing to, you know, well, what got you here? Because it was a different school and coming out of the different times too. I mean, I had more options. And for, you know, people of a generation 10 years before, there were maybe less options and ways to see yourself in a school and in a world. So this was just such an amazing point of coming togetherness, you know, when I look around. And I feel very blessed, and I take Franconia with me everywhere I go. And if I probably brought myself into Franconia, so that means that you guys bring a bit of me everywhere you go. So and here we are.
Especially when we're your kids.
And that's true. And you know, and they will last a lot longer than or when they come back to the planet, they'll be digging these little images out and say, oh, Franconia Reunion 2010. A lot of these, what's that about? So, okay, so we're part of the planet here, okay? So I thank the greatness of the world to be here, the gratefulness to be here today.
I think part of the Franconia experience was we were up here protected from the world by the mountain passes here, which sometimes when it snowed you couldn't get through. so we were our own group, and this may have been good because some of the 60s and 70s were very tough times in the country, and yet we could be here interacting with each other. And you look at the weather out there today with the clouds and the mountains, and I'm reminded of Brigadoon. It appeared once every 100 years, and we appeared 10 years ago, and we're here again, and I really hope it's not another 10 years.
We're getting to go.
This is a good chance for me to make an announcement then. 10 years ago, we buried a Franconia College time capsule on the top of Mount Agassiz.
I remember
Yay!
Well, you couldn't have been there then.
And so, the first thing is I wish us all a good coming 10 years so that we can meet and dig it up and maybe replant it somewhere else or replace it or who knows what. But keep that in mind, and I'll take it on myself to try and get together there. I looked last night when I got home to see if I had, someone asked me, is there a map where it's buried?
I was just going to ask you that same question.
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure, but there are some photos that indicate where it is in relation to
We know where it
various
is.
corners and walls of the house there.
Stan knows where it is.
So, I'm sure Stan will know where it is, yeah, so that's not a problem. Stan Harrison is a fellow that owns the mountain now, he's lived up there for a long time. I understand, I haven't seen him in a while myself, but his health is not good. So unfortunately, there is the question of what might happen. And
He also has a mountain for sale.
yeah, so this
There's
is
a lot
something
of
that
wonderful land for sale around you guys.
we'll see that we can somehow secure the possibility of getting up there at some point. If it has to be before 10 years, then it will be. But keep that all in mind.
Wasn't there an anticipated date to dig it up?
I don't think we've got that far.
I do remember as we finished the time capsule collection, Ollie putting Dick Root's license plate.
That's
on the
right.
capsule.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wherever it is,
Wow.
take good care of it.
So I'm going home. I live in Franconia. I have a garden I have to put away, and I have to go to work tomorrow. And this has been wonderful. I came to Franconia and I never left. I mean, I left, but no, this is home. There's a lot of spirit here. It's still here, and there's a lot of great land for sale. You guys are really neat people, and like my land abuts Franconia College. 2 sides of me are for sale. It's frightening, and then across the street, it's for sale too. So, the planet's a good thing. You guys are wonderful, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Want another drink? Bye. I'll see you soon. Let's do make it sooner than 10 years. I think we're all getting a little older, so
I'm in the know.
Do you know, just one thought that
And
came
thank you, Winston. Thank you.
I just wanted to share one thought that this woman has shared with me is that, you know, we're like a quilt. We've come with our patterns, and over time we've been piecing this wonderful pattern together to make this quilt that's ongoing. It doesn't end. It just keeps adding itself, adding itself, adding itself. And when the college closed, I was living up here, and I remember the heartache of not just us not having a place anymore, but the locals, and how much at the time there was a lot of people that said they wanted the place to close, and they had some angst against the students, and Ernie Doolin, and just a few of them, and when it closed and it set in, you know, that the school's not going to be around anymore, and the the students weren't going to be around, and the businesses were going to be affected, and how much an area, how widespread that ripple went out. And for 2 years, I mean, people were really in a funk. And then you looked around and you found that there was a core here of people that were still perpetuating that feeling and that sharing. And I said, wow, this is fantastic. It never left. It's still here. And when you have these programs and people get together and they share their heartfelt stories and they share their memories, and some of them are a little off-key and some not quite the information, but still the passion that goes with it. You know that it's like a person who loses their limb and they still feel their toes. The aura of the school is still there. The memories, the vibrations have permeated this whole space. And by us coming together, we're just keeping it home. We're keeping the light burning. And even if we all should pass, eventually that will happen, we shall all pass, the vibration will still be there because we fed it so much energy. And our children's children, our friends, the people around here, they had, so many people have come through here and they've said, you know, this is so far out, so unique. People have gone to Woodstock, and the festival did not happen in Woodstock. It happened in Bethel.
Right.
And people still come to Woodstock thinking, this is where the festival happened. And said, no, it happened in Bethel. But yet there's that wanting to serve that idea, that common ground. And we are all a token of that. And our actions will speak for Franconia College as long as we are imbued with it. And that's all I'm going to share.
Thank you.
And, you know, this is nourishment for me. And I would probably get real emotional. Let me start with a story about March. In fall of '74, I was really involved in student activities and doing a lot of crap around the place. And Marge needed to go to California to see her daughter. And we thought of a million different ways, and we said, somebody had a pound of marijuana. And we said, well, raffle that off. And it's such a lovely story. And so, you know, we had raffle tickets, you know, and we went around. I don't remember how much money we raised, but in fact, we raised enough money to send Marge to California and to give her some extra money to spend when she went to California. So, you know, as students, you know, we were just thrilled that we were able to do this. She never knew, you know, what we did or how we raised the money. She just knew we did. The Littleton Courier has a picture of myself and Marge when we presented her with the money to go to California. I'll dig up the picture and we'll post it, you know, so that people can see it. But it's a beautiful picture of Marge.
Who was the woman that was involved in who owned the pound of marijuana?
That I do not remember. You know, that's a thought.
Today, you know, I was trying to.
Yes, I don't remember that at all, but
And try not to.
The statute of limitations have expired ages ago.
But blessings to that person that was able to come up with that nice pound of marijuana. Really appreciate that.
Now, I have to continue the story because the raffle tickets, it said, you know, raffling, and it was half a pound by the time it actually.
That's true, I forgot that. Little pieces kept coming out. That's right. I had completely forgotten.
But it said win half a pound of food for thought. And I won it.
Oh!
Bring any of it with you?
Now, here's the real story. So, you know, half a pound of grass. What am I going to do with this stuff?
What did you do?
And out in Lyman with Skip Plow at the time, and went back to the house and talked about it, you know, because I wanted to share it with the whole community. You know, it's like, how should I be allowed to, you know, win all of this that everybody has
Share the
participated
value,
in?
right.
So-
Did you
so-
bring it to one of my parties?
So Skip and I spent the entire day cleaning and rolling this half a pound of grass. And there was a big party at college that night. And so, first of all, we started thinking about, well, put one joint in everybody's mailbox. Maybe that wouldn't be such a good idea, because, you know, somebody might get one and it really wouldn't be appropriate. There were a couple of people. So I had a little box that had a nice logo on it. It was actually book plates. And so I just filled it up, and I walked around like the host through the lobby of the and every time I would meet somebody, I would say, "Would you like one?" And I handed out joints all night long, and people would wander out to the front deck, and you know, it was just a wonderful evening.
That's really cool. I came up here in '72. I started school here, but I came up the winter before on a bus reading "Look Homeward, Angel," and I had my interview with Lou Redding, and it was a snowstorm. I got off the bus in town and where the hell I was, what I was doing. It was already, everything was closed down. And I had to figure out where I was staying that night. I was staying up on Sugar Hill. And the interview, like others are saying, was exactly a blink of my eye. And you're in. And I also, like you, Billy, come from a relatively poor background. And I was wondering how the hell I was going to pay for it as well. And grants and loans and other things enabled me to come to this wonderful place. And my entire career has been in social services. And even before I got here to Franconia, I knew what I was going to do with my life. In my high school yearbook, under where it said, what are you going to do with your life, I had to serve humanity. And I've basically done that, in my entire career. I've worked with people with AIDS since the late 80s. I've worked with adolescents. I worked with young adults. I was the director of substance abuse services out at Rikers Island with an 800-bed program. I was a mayoral policy person for New York City for AIDS. And so I've done government work and I've done not-for-profit work. But the experience of Franconia allowed me to explore. It allowed me to grow. It allowed me to fail. It allowed me to do all the things I needed to do to make me the person I became. And it's in my blood. I've said that a couple of times this weekend. I've said that in the years past. That you used the word innate, and it's so true. We are a community of people that doesn't have a building, but we are in each other. We live within each other every single day. And when I try to talk to people about Franconia, I really can't. Because they just don't understand. And I do attempt, but I know that this community knows and understands. And no matter where I am, I know and understand that that community knows that. I don't have to worry about that. But I have an 8-year-old daughter that I'm trying to impart all of this to. And she's, wondering where I am today, but she will come up here at some point with me. She's already been here. She was at, the other reunions. But she'll learn more and more, and I will teach her, and I will give her the gift that Franconia has given me, and I will go really to my grave, just always, and this is the best. Nothing like it. This is the element of life that I've always wanted, and I got, and I give it back day in and day out to everyone else that I possibly can. it's such a gift and such a blessing, like you said, really. It's more than I can, sometimes it's just so explosive in my heart and my head. I don't know what to do with it. That's why a reunion, for me, is just the best. It really is. You know, I did, you know, Leon Pfaffenberger and Trina Osher and Joanne Holland, you know, to name a few in terms of, you know, I was in education services here. Then Ida Wright, you know, I did the poverty work with her here, and it enabled me to see, you know, some of the other things. And I've worked on an Indian reservation. You know, I mean, I've been all over the place doing social services. And I thank Ida for allowing me to get, you know, into the backwoods here and see the North Country.
Yeah.
And I thank even Katie Sims for letting me do health surveying, you know, and walking, because I didn't have a car when I was up here. But I have to walk into these back roads and go knocking on people's doors who didn't know I was coming, you know, and suspicion of the North Country folks. It's mighty fearful, but, you know, I sucked that up, you know, because it was something that needed to be done. We needed to assist people, and Franconia gave me, you know, so many gifts and so many things that, and gave me all of you. So I'm blessed.
Yeah. Speaking about Franconia, about reunions, I think we should recognize Fred Finley for getting us together here in 2000, and Mark Chain, Judy Wallace, Nancy Wallace, Holly Finley, Veronica Hartman, and Melanie Hamilton, and I'm sure I missed some others.
Yeah, there's a
But
long list.
But it started 2000, and that, you know, and then 2001 and 2004. That's all I wanted to say, recognize those people. We were here because of the work that they did in 2000.
I just want to say, people talked about the place, people talk about the building, the politics, a lot was said today. I came here for one reason, the people. And I'm here today for the people. I'm not very fond of the mountains or the North Country.
I love it.
I always thought the building was a little funky and probably a fire hazard. And I was behind me to know how I was going to get out, whatever room I was in first. And I jumped out a window, what floor I was on. But, and faculty included, students and faculty, when I came up here and visited, I knew that this was the place for me, and it was 100% about the people. And yeah, I love the surrounding studio and all of that, but and that's what you were saying, Bob, that there's something that connects all of us. For us, either to figure out our financial aid, or those of you who have convinced your parents to spend as much as they would have to spend on Harvard to let you go to a place like this, made us all like souls. And we continue to be, you know, when you hear, oh, I went to Franconia College, or my brother went to, or something, you immediately know you could go into a conversation and get each other. And it could go beyond just a polite conversation. So thank you all for being here now and being here then.
There is something really unique, and that all boils down to Franconia. I was one of the people that Lena forgot. but that's okay. But that's okay. So one of the things that we realized when we were putting together, is there was a whole bunch of people, and out of that organization, nobody knew everybody. The only thing that we all had in common was Franconia. And as time went on, we got to know each other. We got to meet so many more people who were not from our time, not from our era. And Chris and I were talking about this today. There's a trust that we have for each other that's really unexplainable, other than saying it's Franconia. That we can get together here and talk about stuff that more likely than not we could not talk about in our workplaces or the people we normally socialize with. That we trust each other enough to be able to, once again, be who we are, be ourselves, and be free to do so.
Get the same jokes.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say the joke.
Yeah, not to be funny, but it's on there. It's on there. Inexplicably unusual, I think, what we have.
Yeah, it is.
I think of coming here with my brother across country from California and bad-mouthing higher education and saying field experience, and I just got out of the Army, he just got out of the Army, and, you know, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go back to Nigeria, see what's going on. Show up at Franconia in December, and my brother said, oh, I'm going there. And I said, have you been accepted? He said, no, but I'm going. I said, well, you're headed east, I'm headed east. We've seen each other for 6 years. So we arrived here, and then, you know, I have my acceptance letter from Skip Lau, but realized Michael Doris said, well, yeah, why don't you go check things out in Nigeria and come back? When I came back and enrolled in September of, what was that, 72, the whole community meeting, I had a background of community development, was what I was doing in the Peace Corps, organizing communities to plant crops. And here I am in a community, and you know, the community meeting, and the dissension and the arguments that took place, sometimes not very respectful, and then, but yet, if you stop and think overview-wise, people came together. And there was consensus, and even though people would disagree, it was really democracy in action. And I think that was something that really opened up my eyes, and you know, the community that we've just been talking about for however long here, and the respect and the divergence and the diversity that took place, that spans years from, you know, I think of Ruth, who I live in her town. You know, all the way to everybody else, all the generations of Franconia College and all the different eras, and every one of them had special events. And I think I'm right with Randy that everybody that it's the community. And I remember the community meetings, and I just think that, you know, they were completely outrageous at times and spontaneous, but that they were the essence.